Good day, everyone. I am your host, Joshua Wright. Today on Surviving COVID-19, we will discuss working in higher education. My guests are employees of Jackson State University, Lemoyne-Owen College, and Rusk College. You do not want to miss this important topic, so please stay tuned. When the coronavirus pandemic first surfaced, everyone thought it was just a bad flu bug that would eventually pass. No one in higher education or even the world could prepare or imagine how this virus would change the world forever.
We awaited our president to make the notion to actually begin contacting students if they were on spring break, saying that it was time that we needed to permanently get them out and schedule times for them to actually move out of the residence hall. Now, while that's okay, we had to schedule and things like that. But what about the people that remained there, that were still there during spring break, and they had no transportation? So we were actually, I was actually at the great Rusk College at the time. We were actually busing students home, getting them fare to get home and things of that nature. But my concern was, what's going to happen to these students?
So during that time period, having to catch a plane, put my stuff in storage, and then come back to get it at a later date, that was definitely a lot for me. And so when I got home and I had to figure out how was I going to do school and be at home, it was definitely difficult, especially with certain teachers I had at the time. They weren't used to teaching virtually. They were used to face-to-face communication and being social with the students. One of my biggest issues with being taught virtually was not being able to get the one-on-one help, or being able to talk to my professor with things that I needed to be helped with.
There was a lot of scrambling. Nobody was sure what was going on, but we knew that we had to continue to service the students. We knew we had to continue teaching our classes. And so we pivoted quickly to transitioning everything to a virtual platform. Fortunately, Jackson State University does have an online program, so making the pivot was not difficult at all. It's just that those of us who were operating in person had to switch over and do things the way that they're done for the online program that we already have.
At that time, I can say for certainty that the school and the population itself was not fully aware of how long the pandemic would go, nor its severity at that time. At the beginning of it, we were kind of still in a everyday business as usual mode, and it wasn't until that uncertainty of how long the pandemic would go, or how severe it would get, or who all it would affect took place in the coming years. Initially, we were in the middle of our tour season, spring of 2020, and when the pandemic hit, that kind of canceled the rest of our travel and performing for a significant amount of time.
During the coronavirus pandemic, many people struggled with physical health and mental health. Higher education professionals struggled with not only the personal stresses of life at this time, but also the stresses of an ever-changing job during a pandemic.
The stress levels are high because you have to think about it. I'm trying to look out for my own safety. I'm looking out for the safety of others. We're trying to follow policy, and we're trying to make sure that everybody understands why we're doing everything and not such a political way. So it was very hard for us, but we tried to make sure that we were very intentional. That means doing things on purpose with a purpose. So how can we be very purposeful in this process to make sure that not only I'm okay, but the people and my coworkers are okay?
Like I said earlier, one of the stressors was getting the students to realize this was more than an extended vacation. Like I said, it happened during spring break. And when it first happened, everybody thought, okay, we just have an additional week off because some virus is out circulating. Nobody realized the severity or how long it would last until it continued for weeks and weeks and weeks. So one of the stressors was getting the students to see that once we realized there was a pandemic and that we needed to continue to operate in spite of, that was hard because the students wanted to remain in vacation mode. And we had to get back to learning. We had to finish the semester. We had to get registered for summer, get registered for fall. All the things that we would have normally done had there not been a pandemic, we were expected to do and we were prepared to do. However, one of the main stressors was getting the students to comply.
It made it more intense. I would say that because we had to stay on our toes. We didn't know literally week to week, sometimes day to day, what new COVID predictions would be or what new guidelines there would be. And so it is a certain amount of stress that puts on you when you're in this everlasting state of heightened unassuredness. And so that does add stress to the working day. It adds stress to your everyday life. You don't know if by interacting with people, if you're taking COVID home to your family. So it is an extreme heightened awareness and just super intense, stressful working situation.
I hope you are enjoying this episode. It is now time for our commercial break. When we return from this quick message, we will talk about what it means to work in higher education during the pandemic today and what the future holds. So please stay tuned right here to this special edition of Surviving COVID-19, Working in Higher Education. We'll be right back after this message.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how's sketches? Ready? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, backpack kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Welcome back. As we transitioned through the coronavirus pandemic, many institutions of higher learning started to put into place safety precautions for students to return to some in-person operations. One of the strategic plans that went along with this is being able to motivate students and excite students to return to in-person classes and activities.
Investment. We had to do a major financial investment. We had a huge campus festival with food trucks, games, water games, this and that. We surveyed our students to see what they would like. And we took all the information and then we just invested into our students and said, okay, this is what we're going to do to pull them out. And then not only pull them out, but just kind of find ways to retain them on being active in our student engagement. So finding out how can we keep them after this one big program. So seeing what else would they like to see, finding out how can we get them involved in this area that they may be interested in. So it's really just reintroducing them back to campus in one sense.
As I interacted with students that I may have advised or assisted, or maybe they contacted me for recommendation letters or something, I told them, come on back, campus is open. Many of them really were not difficult to convince, because one thing about college students is they enjoy being away from home. When they're on campus, they can do what they want, when they want, where they want, how they want. Mom and dad are not standing over their shoulder. They don't have chores. They're not answering to anybody. And even during the height of the pandemic, when we kept telling them, you need to distance yourself from each other. You don't need to be in groups of 20 doing things. You don't need to be hanging out. There were constant parties. They didn't believe. There were constant groups gathering and congregating all day. And like I was saying, even with class, they would log on, not have their cameras on, and when we would force them to turn it on, you would see they're somewhere with a group of friends. So getting them to come back was not difficult at all.
It is an ongoing, regular occurrence to have to remind them that you need to be on time, you need to actually show up. Your grade does depend on it. This does matter that you are present and active. It's just a mindset shift. It's one of those things where we're creatures of habit. And so when we get in the habit, it's hard to break that habit.
Definitely transitioning from everything being open, everything being like a social aspect, to now it's really like a really individual aspect. And you're not being able to bond with your roommates, your classmates, people that you just see on campus, you're not really able to bond with them for real. The transition was just really hard.
As we move into what seems to be the tail end of the coronavirus pandemic, there are many future obstacles, yet opportunities for institutions of higher education.
We're headed in a positive direction, but it's going to take us as administrators to be very intentional on what we do and how we do it. Making sure that we're making the right investments, making sure that we're connecting and utilizing our student leaders, developing them, getting them what they need so they can attract the rest of the campus and the student body. I think that's the reason why I transitioned out of residence life into student engagement, because now I understand what it's like in residence life. And I understand, and I'm learning more about the campus engagement piece, so we can actually work together to craft.
We're now receiving students who for 2 years have not been in a classroom. They don't know what they need to know. Admission standards nationwide have been relaxed in order to accommodate as many students as possible. I really see higher education now being challenged.
I think we're in this cosmic shift of higher ed just in general. This pandemic has shown us that business as usual is no longer usual, that we have to be open to new ideas and innovation in higher education. It has also shown us, though, that we have to be dynamic in that which we offer our students, because to prepare them for a world that, just like now, is ever changing, we have to instruct that way. We have to coach that way. We have to encourage in that manner.
The coronavirus pandemic, better known as COVID-19, has saddened and enlightened many people all over the world. However, in the world of higher education, we are always continuously hoping for a better and brighter future in the world of academia. Thank you for watching this special edition of Surviving COVID-19, Working in Higher Education. Have a great day. I want to give special thanks to all of my guests, Mr. Antonio Arnett, Dr. Venetia Miller, Dr. Arlandra Harvey, Ms. Sakina Williams, and Ms. Kyla Richardson. Thank you to my technical team, consultants, and everyone who supported me with this project.